For early access plus exclusive content, facilitated discussions, live one-on-one Q&As, and more, become a patron at patreon.com/BrucePointset. What's up, everyone? It's Bruce. And today I want to talk about land, our sense of ownership of it, and specifically in regards to my hometown of LO. Earlier this week, I was in town cat sitting, and I decided to take a stroll through Tryon Creek in downtown Lake Oswego. It's a walk I used to take all the time when I was living with my parents. And one of the things that I would specifically do was really like try and pump my chest out and really just move around like I own the place. Now, obviously, like if you're, a descendant of the Clackamas Indians, you know, you have something to say about actually owning the place. So that is a conversation for, another time. But, just figuratively speaking, is really more so a thing of saying, I have as much claim to this place as, you know, all the white people who live here. And, you know, I have, this notion of Lake Oswego, as many people know, as Lake No Negro, that, you know what? People say, this isn't for me, but again, I have as much claim to this as any of these white people that feel so comfortable here. So, it's just the thing I used to do. And again, I was in town. So just for old time's sake, let me get a whiff of this fresh air and take a walk through town and survey what will one day be the people's kingdom, right? And, as soon as I got in there, and as soon as I got a little bit into Tryon Creek National Park, it just reminded me again of just like the sounds, just again taking a whiff of the air. It's like, man, one, it got me thinking just like, you know, our group Respond to Racism, we have a youth group that, maybe in post-COVID times, we should be taking them on a walk through the park every year. If nothing else, just to show people, this is what we're fighting for, like policies, you know, just quality of life, yes, but you know, also just like wanting to show them that all these things that people really do come to this town for, especially like these nature spaces, helping people who grew up like me see this just as much as theirs, again, as all these white people in the community. And also just to walk through, whether it be nature or just walking through town and doing a little visioning of, you know, what we actually want this to be, what we can do, what kind of spaces we would like to see, what kind of art we would like to see in this community. Because when you look at it now, when you look at Lake Oswego and it's just, you know, its lack of personality, you see what, like, that's what white supremacists are really fighting to hold on to. Like, yes, the trees, the fresh air, the vast outdoor space, Lake Oswego, literally the lake, but then also some of these laws that keep the town plain, like the fact that you can't have murals, you know, having Millennium Plaza for the most part when you're walking through on a given night just be this vast open space that's kind of dead. Even, these empty storefronts because, we're just catering towards certain kinds of businesses that are, comfortable with, again, the rich white people. And like, that's what people are fighting to keep a hold of. Have all that nature and that fresh air effectively to themselves, to drive through this eerie place with no art and houses that all look the same and kind of feels like Get Out. But, that works for some, but it doesn't work for the rest of us. And quite frankly, I don't really care how the people who it has been working for and who have been, holding other people back just to keep it. I don't really care how they feel. So, what are some things we can do about that though? Because, like I said, going on these walks, it's time to get, let flesh, let that fresh air flow through you and just get your ideas working, get the synapses firing. I do think more visioning walks, like just getting activities where you can build community with each other, maybe get a little sweat in, get a little oxygen, and then just think, see things and visually imagine what they could be. And then you can take that into, whether it's a city council meeting, whether it's development meetings, whether it's engaging with the watershed council or parks and rec and saying, here's some more ideas of what we could do with these spaces. Like, Oregon Black Pioneers right now just started a thing where, they're hosting walks with students and talking about the history of the space and talking about, Black people specifically have contributed to these outdoor spaces. NAACP is doing something similar. Or even just like when you're walking around, scouting spaces saying like, ooh, look at this storefront. We've been thinking about trying to do a community center. Maybe this would be good for that. Or maybe this would be good for this type of library. Or God, sure be nice to have more like culturally specific businesses just walking around and looking at this, looking at spaces and saying, it sure be nice. Like this is very plain. It sure be nice to have some art here. And even when you're talking about going to public meetings, guess what? RTR, we create a video specifically on training people to engage with their public meetings. So I would highly recommend looking at that and taking some cues for, again, when you go into city council, when you go into development meetings and other things to help people, one, help people you're with kind of focus on how they can organize, but then also in looking at how you can engage with counselors and board members and commissioners. Another thing you can do in the short run is host events. So I talk about Millennium Plaza being dead. There are times when it's not. And, we've had some examples in recent years where, the city has actually worked with community organizations, whether it's with Respond to Racism when we held two Juneteenth presentations and celebrations in the past couple of years now, or AAPI Heritage Month, where again they worked with LO for Love and other groups to, host very successful events that built community, brought some life to the space, and really just show people just what we're missing when we don't do this. And there's so many just if you just did, cultural heritage months alone, you would have, just things that bring people to the city, bring people that buy from the businesses that also happen to be there. Everyone wins. And then lastly, in terms of the short run, do a little bit of lobbying. Like, obviously, lobbying has a lot of bad connotations because we think about Washington and we think about people making obscene amounts of money to just protect, like the oil and gas industry, pharmaceuticals, et cetera. But the thing is, you got to do a little bit of that, even on like the community level. So we talked about, different boards and commissions, development, parks and recs, watershed council, et cetera, et cetera. Finding, talking, setting up meetings with people in these positions to, figure out one, what they're doing, figure out how they can better work towards creating, more equity, and specifically when we're talking about public spaces, about how we can, have art events, make things more conducive to everyone in the community. Then also, especially in LO, go with the Arts Council. Like when we talk about, arts projects and installations, you want to get people because they'll have liaisons from like the city council and whatnot. So obviously electing people have these share similar views and want to see more of this as well. So hopefully they can become those liaisons on the Arts Council. But in the meantime, you know, it's engaging with existing leadership how you can so they can, one, hopefully see the importance, but then more importantly, actually do something about it, actually put on more installations, actually support more artists of color, more the installation of more works from artists of color and more events. And I'll tell you, in Lake Oswego, it's been a very uphill battle, despite what anyone from the Arts Council may tell you, in getting more than a scrap here and there. But hopefully, hopefully that will change. Another one, their Chamber of Commerce, which is usually one of the more conservative groups anywhere, whether it's nationally or any local government. But get at them, apply pressure to them. That's where the money is in the community. And it's where a lot of people will definitely tell you, we care so much about equity and inclusion and we're doing so much. Apply pressure to them and make them prove it. Make them prove it in, when again, we talk about these mural laws or lack of murals and the laws that, empower that. They have the political clout to change a lot of that. The businesses, put pressure on them. Don't let them skate by or just, do what they do with no attention. Make them take a position, highlight it. And, if they're against this, apply pressure. They don't just get to do it in secret. So now let's talk more about the long run. Again, if you want to change public art laws, we want to make it so we can actually see more murals. We want more space and more installations from artists of color, even if it has to be mandated. Apply pressure, like I said, to the groups we just talked about. And again, that's the end goal. Get these actual laws changed and then act on it. But then also get the acquisition of space. We talked about scouting storefronts, but the space costs money. So you got to find a way, like fund, whether it be a library with more diverse books, a place for a gathering spot, the aforementioned cultural center. Acquire these funding and acquire these spaces. And remember, this is not just for people in LO, although it could sure do a lot for them, but it's also about creating opportunities to build and organize with others. Like, this may sound wild right now in 2021, but there's a timeline where we could really make LO the unthinkable, a destination. People hate the Lake No Negro nickname, but then we got to take real action and make real investments in creating a new reality. And that's all this comes down to. Creating a reality that's different. That's creating a space, creating a Lake Oswego, really, where everyone sees sees themselves here. That actually feels like home, where people feel empowered to be all they can be and build the things that serve everyone instead of, wealthy white people. It's served almost exclusively to this point. So that's all I got for you today. But, let's do the work and let's make that happen. I'll check you out on the next video. Thank you for watching. Please like and share and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos. Thank you.